Hello all, I welcome you all to this session of basic thermodynamics. In today's class, we will talk about quality of energy, then law of degradation of energy, then we also talk about second law efficiency. Now, in order to discuss the concept quality of energy, that is quality of energy, let us assume a hot gas which is flowing inside a pipe. So, let us say there is a pipe in which there is a hot gas which is flowing in this direction. Let us say that at this section we will call it as A, and let us say at this section let it be B. Now, this is a pipe in which the hot gas is flowing. Now, let us write it. Consider hot gas flowing in a pipe as shown in figure. Okay. Now, as it passes from point A to point B, the energy is lost, that is in the form of heat, the energy is lost to the surrounding. That means the temperature at A of the gas will be greater than the temperature at the B. That means we are having a process in which the hot gas is flowing in a pipe, but there are irreversibilities like heat is being lost to the surroundings, because of which the temperature at point B will be lesser than that of the temperature at point A. Okay. Now, as gas pass through the pipe, heat is lost to the surroundings. Remember what we are interested in? We are interested in knowing the quality of energy. You know that first law talks about only the quantity of energy. Second law is the one which gives you the concept of quality of energy, for which we have considered an example where there is a pipe in which the hot gas is flowing. Now, let us assume that there is a section in the pipe where, let us say, the temperature here be T1 dash, and let us say after this point somewhere here the temperature will be lesser than the T1 dash, let us call it as T1 double dash. Now, what is the difference here? T1 dash will be greater than T1 double dash, that is, as it passes along the pipeline the heat is lost to the surroundings. Let us assume that there is Q amount of heat is being lost to the surrounding at this point. Okay. Let us assume that Q is the amount of heat which is lost to the surroundings, and let us say there is temperature T1 which is the average of these two. Okay. It is better that we have a TS diagram for the same. Let us say you have a TS diagram. So, even though the process is irreversible, let us assume a reversible process by which the heat is being lost to the surroundings. Let us say it is a constant pressure process. In a TS diagram, constant pressure process looks something like this. This is at point A and this is at point B. Now, what have we assumed? Let us assume Q amount of heat is lost to the surroundings and T1 dash is the temperature at some point and T1 double dash is the temperature after at some point. Now, T1 is the average of these two temperature, average of T1 dash and T1 double dash. Now we have drawn the TS diagram for the same. Now let us say if this is T1 dash somewhere down the line, and let us say this is T1 double dash. Now there is a temperature, constant temperature which we are trying to represent, that let us say it is T1. Now what will be this? Let us say this is T1 dash, T1 double dash, this is T1. Now this will be the delta S. This will be what? Delta, let us call this as delta S1. Now what we have drawn is, if this is temperature T1 is the average of T1 dash and T1 double dash, now delta S1 dash will be the change in entropy between these 2 points, considering T1 as the constant temperature line, that can be like a horizontal line. The Q can be determined, or Q can be written in terms of T1 delta S. That is with which we have drawn this. Let us say this gives us what? Q, because Q is after all what? T into delta S. Now let us assume that there is one more point where you have temperature T2 dash. That means T2 dash, the temperature at here will be much lesser than this, and let us say somewhere down the line we have T2 double dash, and let the temperature here be the T2, which is the average of T2 dash and T2 double dash. Let us try to represent the same here also. We have T2 dash, we have T2 double dash, and whereas T2 is somewhere the average of these two, which we are trying to represent it by a constant temperature line. Now this will be what? Delta S2. That is change in entropy between these 2 points. Now the same amount of Q, remember we are trying to represent, let us say the same amount of Q is being lost even at this point. We are trying to consider there are two situations. One is that the heat is lost, the Q amount of heat is lost at higher temperature, and the same Q amount of heat is lost at relatively lower temperature. Now with that example we are trying to evaluate the quality of energy. Now with this diagram what we can say is that with this diagram we can say that what we are interested in, let us say Q is the amount of heat lost to the surroundings, where even in the second case, this is the first case which we talked about, then same amount of heat we are considering, T2 dash is the temperature at some point, and also T2 double dash is the temperature at some point, whereas T2 is average of T2 dash and T2 double dash. Now we know that what? Temperature 1 is greater than temperature 2. So this temperature T1 is greater than that of temperature 2. Now because of that we know that what? Delta S we can evaluate. So for that what we have assumed, Q must be same. So Q must be same means Q should be equal to T1 delta S1, that is the amount of Q we are talking about will be T1 into delta S1. The amount for the same amount of Q, T2 delta S2, that means we are considering for the same amount of heat transfer. Okay. Now if this has to be equal to this, T1 is greater than T2. Therefore, delta S2 has to be greater than that of delta S1. It is very simple to understand. T into delta S gives us the amount of heat transfer. Now for the same amount of Q we are talking, here also the amount of heat transfer is same. Then for the same amount of heat transfer, this is T1 into delta S. Now T1 is higher value, delta S let us say some value. Then if the temperature is dropped, delta S2 has to be increased in order to get the same amount of Q, because the value of temperature is lesser than that of T1. So delta S2 has to be greater. So this comes from the very simple principle, or looking at the graph you can say that delta S2 has to be greater than that of the delta S1. Delta S2 has to be greater than delta S1. Now remember, we talked about the available energy, that is the available energy for a cycle is given by the amount of heat added minus T naught into delta S. That means, let us say you have a reversible cycle in which if this is the amount of heat you are supplying, and what will be the maximum energy or maximum available work, that will be equal to the amount of heat supplied minus the temperature of the surroundings and delta S of the heat supplied. That means change in entropy during the heat supplied. Now keeping this in contrast, what we are trying to say is that if this is the amount of heat available at T1, that is in both the case what we have, same Q. Let us assume Q is there with you and you are trying to have a cycle and generate the energy. Now we are interested in the amount of Q which is lost to here, amount of same Q is lost to the surrounding. Now what we are interested in is what was the available energy of this Q. That means how much of this could have been converted into work, or what amount of this will be available for converting it to work. Q, both Q are same. That means let us say if you have 100 kilojoules, here also 100 kilojoules is available, but relatively at lower temperature. Now what we are interested, how much of this 100 kilojoules is available for converting it to work. Same 100 kilojoules is also here. Now we know that for a reversible cycle Q minus T naught into delta S, that means this is the amount of energy which is available with you. That means this is the available energy, or this is the amount of heat which is there, minus T naught into delta S. Now if this is the one which is available to you, let us say W1 will be what? Q is the amount of heat. Let us say with that you run a heat engine, then what will be the available energy which can be converted into work? Q minus T naught into delta S1. Okay. Similarly, let us say W2 represents the work which is, or the available work or the maximum work from this Q. Okay. Same amount of Q which we are talking about. So the Q will be same minus the surrounding temperature or temperature of the atmosphere into change in entropy during the supply of heat. That means we are not writing a cycle here, but imagine that if you run a cycle with this heat input, the available work will be W1, and if you run a heat engine with this Q, the available work will be W2. Now looking simply at these two expressions, what we can make out? Delta S1 we have said is lesser than delta S2, or we have said delta S2 is greater than delta S1. So if delta S2 is greater than delta S1, W2 will be lesser than W1. That means for the same Q, remember, for the same amount of heat, if you are running Or simply assume that if you are having 100 kilojoules of energy at a higher temperature, your available energy will be higher than that if you have the same amount of energy at a lower temperature, then the available energy will be lesser. For the same amount of heat, what we can say is that the available energy at higher temperature will be higher than that of the available energy at the lower temperature. Now what we can say is that we can write law of degradation of energy. That if a system is transferring heat, the temperature will decrease, right, and the energy deteriorates. That means at higher temperature it can be converted into more work rather than, at lower temperature the same amount of energy is not available for converting it to work. Or you can say, if first law is law of conservation of energy, second law is law of degradation of energy. That means energy is always conserved. That is the first law of thermodynamics. It simply states that energy is always conserved, but as the temperature drops, it always deteriorates. That is the meaning. That means if you have, let us say, 1 kilojoule of heat with you or energy with you at 1000 degrees Celsius, so if heat is lost at that temperature, it is more loss as compared, let us say you have the same 1 kilojoules of energy which is lost at 100 degrees Celsius. That means at higher temperature you always have higher potential to convert it to work. Let us talk about the next concept, that is second law, efficiency. Now we till now have talked about the first law or first law of efficiency. That is, first law is known for law of conservation of energy, where we only are worried about the quantity of energy which we have. That is, the first law of efficiency we talk about output by input, where we are worried only about what the quantities of the output energy and the quantity of input energy. It does not consider the temperature at which the energy is available. That means just now we were talking about the quality of energy, where we said that if the energy is available at higher temperature, it can be converted into work. I mean, the more amount of it can be converted into work compared to the same amount of energy if it is available at the lower temperature. It cannot be converted into work at the same fraction of that of the higher temperature. That means the first law of energy does not take into account the temperature at which the energy is available. Okay. Now we will talk about the second law of energy efficiency with an example. Let us say you have a heat engine which is operating between temperatures. Let us say this is at temperature 600 Kelvin and the lower temperature being 300 Kelvin, and let us say it is having its efficiency be 30%. Okay. Now let us take one more such device. heat engine. Let us say this has temperature of about 1000 Kelvin. The temperature, it is also rejecting to, let us say, 300 Kelvin, and it is producing work, of course. Okay. Now let us say this is having an efficiency of same 30%. Now if you look at these two examples, they seem to be converting the amount of heat which receives by an equal fraction of it to work, because both having the efficiency of 30%. Only having the knowledge of first law of thermodynamics does not give you an idea to differentiate between this and this. Now let us say you have the equation of efficiency is 1 minus heat rejection, that is temperature at which heat is being rejected, let us say it is T2 and T1. For first heat engine, let us say this will be what? 1 minus T2 is 300 and T1 is 600. This efficiency is going to be nearly 50%. Similarly, calculate for the second engine. Once again, here it is 1 minus T2 by T1. Remember, this is temperature with respect to the second engine you put. 1 minus the lower temperature is same, whereas the higher temperature is 1000. Now this is having the efficiency of 70%. Now the actual efficiencies are 30%, but the Carnot efficiency is saying that this engine could have been working with the 50% efficiency, and on the other hand, the second engine could be working with the efficiency of 70% efficiency if this was a reversible cycle. This could be operating at relatively higher efficiency as compared to this, because you can see that this is 50% having the Carnot efficiency, whereas this is having 70%. Both are operating at same 30% efficiency, but the reversible efficiency what we are talking, the maximum reversible efficiency of this is only 50%, whereas this is 70%. That means to say this could have been having more efficiency, or this could be converting the given amount of heat into more work. That is what is all about second law efficiency. That means we are trying to approximate how much reversibly this engine is working. So second law of efficiency is nothing but a measure of how reversible this cycle is operating at. That is, second law efficiency is given by the way, this is, let us say this is efficiency of first engine and second engine, not to confuse with the second law efficiency. Now second law efficiency is efficiency of the actual cycle divided by efficiency of the reversible cycle. Now what is this we are trying to say? This is giving us a measure of approximation of how reversible the engine is operating. Okay, that means what is its actual efficiency and what if it is operating at reversible cycle. Now this is what is important, or this is what is unique from that of first law of thermodynamics, which only considers what? The quantities of energy, which does not worry about the second law efficiency. That means how much of, for example, the same example which we took, both are having 30% efficiency. It looks quite same that both are converting the same given the heat input, they are converting it into same fraction of work, but in reality this could have been working at maximum at 50%, this could be working at 70%. That means this is relatively working low as compared to the first engine. Okay. Similarly, the second law of efficiency is nothing but it is a measure of approximation of how efficiently it is working or how reversibly it is working compared to an ideal cycle. That is what we say second law efficiency is the measure of approximation of the reversibility in the cycle. Okay. Now this also can be written as what? Second law efficiency can be written as, if you want to represent it in terms of work, this can be actual work or useful work, where WIU represents the useful work divided by reversible work. Or this is for what? Power producing devices. Now the same second law efficiency can be written as written for power absorbing devices, which can be W reversible by W useful. This can be written for for refrigerators or heat pumps, COP actual divided by COP of reversible. Okay, this gives us the idea of second law efficiency. We can also write second law efficiency in terms of exergy. That is, second law efficiency can be written as exergy recovered divided by exergy supplied. Okay, or it can be also written as, exergy recovered can be written as exergy supplied minus exergy destroyed by exergy supplied. Or if you simplify it, this can be written as 1 minus exergy destroyed by exergy supplied. The second law efficiency can be having a range from 0 to 1. That means, after all, second law efficiency is what? It is a measure of approximation of a reversible operation. That means how reversibly the heat engine is operating. Correct. Now, if the second law efficiency is having a value of 0, that means complete destruction of exergy. Whereas, if the value of second law efficiency is equal to 1 means complete exergy is recovered. Okay, that is the concept of second law efficiency. It gives us how reversibly the operation is happening or how reversibly the engine is working. Okay, if second law efficiency is 70% means compared to reversible engine, you are converting it with respect to reversible engine, that is with 70%. Now, we will recall what we have discussed. We have discussed quality of energy, law of degradation of energy and second law efficiency. In quality of energy, we said that if the energy is available at higher temperature, it has more potential than if the same amount of energy is available relatively at lower temperature. For example, if there is 100 kilojoules of energy is available at 1000 degrees Celsius and same 100 kilojoules of energy is available at say 100 degrees Celsius, the potential to convert it into work is higher in higher temperature. That is, or in other words, you can say that if energy is lost at higher temperature, it is of more loss compared to the same amount of energy which is lost at relatively lower temperature.